have one of these signs beside our church because we want people in Nazareth to know that they are our neighbors. I believe that when we live into inclusivity, that in our community we would experience less violence, we would experience less depression, we would experience less intolerance, we would experience less hate, that our performance in school would actually go up because people would know that they matter.
Why would you let them look like that? Any kind of question like that comes across as judgmental and makes you feel unwelcome and like you're doing the wrong thing.
Black Caucus and a concerned community member that is very happy to be with you all today. So I'm very happy to be here today and very glad to be a part of this momentous occasion. I'm going to call it an occasion of celebration here in Nazareth because that's what we're doing. We're celebrating belonging and the act of matter here in Nazareth. So can we give April a round of applause real quick? Many years ago, not many years for some that experience these things, there was a time where somebody who looked like me could happily drive my car around a town like Nazareth until 6 p.m. when I had to be out of town. That's a sundown town where black folks didn't belong and black folks didn't matter. There was another time in history where those of us who are here, right in this pavilion, who may love somebody whose hue is a little bit darker than yours, you wouldn't have been able to marry that person that you love, or if that hue was a little bit lighter than yours, you wouldn't have been able to marry that person. Biracial marriage didn't belong in our society, and it didn't matter then. There was a time not too long ago where if you were a transgendered person right here in this very country, the land where we have freedom to live how we want to live and express how we want to express and be who we want to be, there was a time very recently where you could have been fired for not going by the gender that you were assigned at birth. Transgender people didn't belong and they didn't matter. But because I'm here today as a member of an elected party and speaking on behalf of a specific voting area, I'm happy to tell you that all of those history lessons that I just told you about are no more because of voting and legislation and people who had the right thoughts and the right minds going to the right offices and going to put together the right litigation and the right legislation and taking us to a point where those who didn't belong and those who didn't matter now do. This You Belong, You Matter campaign is bigger than 4 words. This You Belong, You Matter campaign is for your transgender child who goes to school every day and wonders if they belong there and wonders if they have the same access to a quality education that those who are around them have. This campaign is about those who look like me and who look like others who want to exist happily in their spaces and not be worried about the ills of bigotry and racism and all of those terrible things that we've had to deal with over time. This Belong, You Matter campaign is for the person who wants to express themselves by their own artistic ways or however it is you see fit, with no worry about somebody condemning you because you think the way that you do. You belong and you matter. We We are less than 100, now less than 60 days away from my favorite holiday, Election Day. It's my favorite holiday. Yes, please. And we all, those of us who are under the sound of my voice and those who are not under the sound of my voice, have an obligation to put people in office that know that we belong and we matter. Find a political candidate that matches the way that you think and give them 5 hours of your volunteer time. Maybe even give them $5 of your money. Maybe one less coffee from Starbucks. You can donate to a political campaign. This is how you get things done. You organize, you vote, and then you celebrate. Thank you very much for indulging me this afternoon.
We're working class people. Regardless of what hue we have on our skin tone, how we identify, who we love, we are all working, we're all struggling, we're all trying to make it day by day, and that's what Lehigh Valley Stands Up.
It's just acknowledging that person who's a bit different than you, who typically you're not going to see them in your everyday life, but acknowledging them as a human and saying, I see you.
And because when someone moves into your neighborhood and they're scared and they don't know if they're going to belong, they don't know if they matter, and they see you put that sign up, at least they know they can come to you. At least they know that their kids and your kids can play together. So thank you so much for doing this.
Following the 2020 election, there started being protests at the location of what is currently being transformed into the new Wawa on Janney Boulevard. On my way home from work one day, one of these protesters circled around my car as I was waiting at the traffic light to head home. Must have noticed my pride sticker on the back of my car and started pounding on my window, hurling explicitives and bigoted slurs at me. It was the first time I genuinely, faced this hatred I feared would confront me eventually. I felt scared, incredibly scared. I've been yelled at enough times in parking lots, had enough people mumble at me in the aisles of stores, noticed enough people openly gawking at me when I sat down for a meal at a restaurant. Trips out in public that weren't absolute necessities would only occur if I had a friend come with me. And they were done in broad daylight. But in order to achieve true equality and understanding and inclusiveness, the people who come from places of privilege need to be willing to state their mind clearly and loudly. Hatred is not welcome here. All are welcome. We are a community that accepts everyone, no matter who they are. Whether you are simply a homeowner putting a sign in your yard, or if you own a business here in town and you hang a small sticker or flyer stating that you are an inclusive space, these things matter. It isn't simply empty platitudes. It is making a declaration that all people are welcome. And bigotry is simply not. Isn't that the community we want to build? Aren't those the people we want to be? I want to believe that I can stay here in town and that I will again feel as safe and as accepted as I did as a young person coming through with my friends to get a cup of coffee at the Nazareth Diner or spending a day here in the park. If we each make our voices heard, that can be more than just a dream. So I want to thank this woman for sharing her story. I also want to take a moment to share some comments from one of our local business owners who unfortunately had another obligation prior.
Or had comments directed towards them based on their race. Well, one of their races, since my children are biracial. My oldest son was made fun of because your mom is black. Ew, we feel sorry for you. My youngest son was called the N-word at lunch table. The vice principal called me, taken aback, because my son didn't even know what the word meant. And why would he? He's in 4th grade. We don't use that word in our home. There's no reason to. Fast forward to now, where in addition to the signs and flags praising our former president and disparaging the current president, the quiet division has grown louder. It's not uncommon to see protesters on Route 248. We now have local businesses hosting rallies for extremist political candidates. We have parent groups trying to pull extremism into local school boards. And we've been seeing it happen around the country. We've been seeing it happen across the state. Now we're seeing it in our backyard. Is this what we want for ourselves, for our families? We can either sit back silently, watch our communities and our schools change before our eyes for the worse, or we can stand up and loudly say that we do not welcome hate and division in our community. We do welcome inclusion, respect, and love. We do need to work together in order to provide our children with an education that will allow them to compete in the job market with values that make them productive citizens. Way before any of us came to Nazareth, there were the Moravians. They were immigrants from Germany that settled in the area in 1740. One of the 5 characteristics of the Moravian beliefs was unintrusiveness. They believed that God positively willed the existence of a variety of churches to cater to the different spiritual needs. Let us apply this lesson to today's world. Regardless of your church, your religion, race, creed, color, gender identity, relationship status, parental status, there is room for all of us. Our community should accept everyone. Coexisting is what allows us to learn and grow and become better people. It's what gives us a sense of community and belonging. The next logical question is, how do we combat divisiveness, discrimination, and lack of respect for our neighbors? The answer is simple and complex at the same time. We have to stay informed about what is happening in our neighborhoods and communities. Many times we spend so much time and energy fighting and arguing about national politics that we ignore what's happening in our very own backyard. Go to the borough and township meetings. Go to your school board meetings. Talk to each other, including your friends and family. Keep each other informed about what is going on locally. Find like-minded people and organizations so you can support each other and have a unified voice. Combat disinformation. Extremist candidates are excellent at using inflammatory language to try to scare us. Do your own research and shut disinformation down with the truth, whatever you see it. No matter how tired, angry, or frustrated we get, remember that we are on the side of all that is right and good. Now is the time to stand together and not let our community be overrun by extremists. Nazareth Together, today and always.
It's exciting to me over the years to watch the town grow. Let's face it, when I was in school, I think we had 1 black person in my class. You know, it's very diverse now. I have a very diverse clientele. I specialize in curly hair. I'm so happy to see all of this growth. And now, unfortunately, I feel like over the past couple of years, we backtracked big time. You know, no one approached me about the sign. I found it myself at the Curious Plantaholic. So, yeah, you know, you weren't dragging me down. I found you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We display that because we want love. We want hope. I want people to feel comfortable in my building, in this town that is growing. I think we're saving lives. I think this message is saving lives. There's a lot of teen suicides. Sorry. Please keep plugging along with this. Please support us. You're not running me out of town. You're not running this good cause out of town. We are not going anywhere. We support everybody. So you move back to wherever it is you're from. We're not going anywhere, and this movement isn't going anywhere. We love all of you. Everyone is welcome. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm very emotional. Thank you, everybody.
When I asked Andy, what do you think could make things even better in Nazareth, he said, volunteer your time, community service, pay attention to the people around you, and see how you can help them.